Hey, what's up, traders? The sole purpose of these Saturday morning videos, what I'm trying to accomplish is to teach traders why we do what we do, to explain the entry of our trades, because I like to have two or three different reasons why I enter something. And for me, the entry is everything, right? If you enter right, you take all the other problems that day traders face out of the equation, right? Because if your entry is followed almost immediately by a quick move higher, right? Then you're just scaling out some, you're protecting the entry, and you don't have to worry about being read in the trade. Of course, they don't always work, but when they do work, they should work right away. And that's another bonus of why we do what we do, focusing on proper entries. Because if the entry doesn't work right away, you kind of think, okay, I probably shouldn't hang out here, right? You can always get back in later. So if it was supposed to work right away and it doesn't, that's also telling you something, right? So I love focusing on proper entries. Let's go over that. It was a slow week. It was a holiday week. Market was closed Thursday, half day Friday. So I'm just going to cover a trade from each day and explain why we did what we did, right? NWTN looked like this on the daily, and then we came in Monday morning and it was set to open higher, like around 575. We saw it gapping, right? So we put it on our morning gap play list, and Ben L in chat pointed out the 6 idea. Now this is the daily chart, what it looked like before the gap up. Let me get this out of the way. And this is the gap up 2-minute candle. So what did it do? Pretty good volume there, right? Tops out at exactly 6. We love whole number inflection points. Comes back down. Ben points out the 6 break idea because we're breaking that whole number on a morning gap play. And the thesis is kind of, okay, sellers came in immediately. Those sellers fail if it gets back through. And we've got free webinars on whole number inflection points down in the description to this video. If you're watching it on YouTube, you can find a link to our free webinars. We've got 2 different webinars on whole number inflection points. So check those out if you don't know what I'm talking about here. But anyway, so whole number 6 break, there it is. And look at that. Works right away. You actually get the halt, opens higher, pulls back, and then another leg higher. Beautiful heads up by Ben. But that just falls into morning gap play plus a whole number inflection point. Work like a charm. Let's look at TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor. This is the daily chart that we had on watch. This is coming into Tuesday, right? So this would have been Monday's candle right here. Tuesday it was gapping up, and so we landed on our gap play watch list, set to open around 81.35. And I'll move it over. You can see, so there's where it opened and had a nice pop, especially for that stock. Let's get this out of the way. And there's the opening 2-minute candle. And on the gap up, right? So it opens, tops out at 81.58. So there's no clean whole number inflection point, no clean setup. So we're just going to wait and see if it does set up. Now it's getting a nice rally. Look what happens. Tops out right at 82, pulls back. And once again, Ben L from chat came up with the 82 break idea. And what you have is, again, another gap play, whole number inflection point. Sellers probably gaining some confidence here because it's coming down to test the low of day, right? Curls back up. Look what happens at the 82 break. Chops around for a little bit, which is pretty natural for something like TSM, a more crowded stock, right? But still ends up giving a slow grind all the way up to 83.20 before kind of rolling over. We technically, when you have something that come from low of day back to that high of day, we have what we call Rule 29. And just the short version of that is, hey, you better realize how far it's come to get there. Probably going to need some wiggle room around that whole number. And that's exactly what it did. It chopped around for 6 to 8 minutes. But if you use the moving averages to keep you in, you're still in that, and you got a nice pop. So that was TSM. Let's talk about AMC, which would have been on Wednesday. All right, so this is the daily of AMC, and this was Wednesday. So it doesn't look like it did much, but I'll give you the range. It went from a low of 728 to a high of 798 on this day. But I'm going to go into why this was a very clean pullback play. And I kind of like the daily chart now. You had this nice rally. The low on this day 505, right? So in about 3 or 4 days, it goes to 835. That's a huge move percentage-wise, and it's really flagging ever since. There's a lot of shorts in the name. You all know the whole ape, diamond hands, all that stuff, right? This is one of those meme stocks, but actually had a decent sounding headline. So let's go to the intraday. All right, so what does it do? So Wednesday, it's just trotting along, nothing really stands out, and then it has this nice pop. And I asked everybody in the room, I said, hey, did AMC have news? Because somebody pointed out the pop, and nobody could find anything. And so what happens, I'm not going to chase this, obviously, but what happens is it comes back down, all the way back down, round trips, probably because there was no news, and so people piling into AMC thinking, okay, it's finally going to squeeze, and it rolls back over, and shorts piling in here absolutely made sense, right? I wouldn't have gone along there. But then, wait for it, boom, you get this massive volume, and it was because it came out, a news story came out that Amazon is going to put, I don't know, however many billion, at least $1 billion into movies meant for movie theaters, right? So that's a huge headline, especially when you look at AMC with a huge short interest, and Amazon in the headline and all that. So this gets a big pop. Now am I thinking, this was my sole focus almost the rest of the day, because now I'm thinking, hey, shorts came in, knocked it down as always on AMC. Then you get a real headline, and I'm thinking, hey, shorts are in trouble here. All right, so I called it back in the fives buy zone. Was actually my second pullback idea in it. I got filled at 757. I think it went down to 756, but I called it as it was coming down, gave the fives buy zone idea. I was also looking at CNK, Cinemark, which is another theater, and it was at the high of day. I just thought, hey, we could get a squeeze here, right? Actually took a screenshot, so I'll throw this up here. It shows my actual fill at 757, and a sell, one of the sells I had was at 797, which was almost the high of day. Pretty proud of that, but this is falls into our fives buy zone pullback play. And again, if you haven't seen our free webinar on buying pullbacks, it's in the link down below in the description. So the short answer is between the 8 and the 20 here. After a nice move, I'm bidding, right? We call that the fives buy zone, 5-minute candles, what that means. And we end up getting the high of day break. If ever I get filled in the fives buy zone and then it comes back up and we get the high of day break, I'm always selling some, right? Obviously, I would have liked it to have broken 8 and continued that kind of flag on the daily, continue to break out. Didn't happen, but still a neat little, perfect example actually of a fives buy zone pullback. And then on Friday, let's talk about ENSC. So here's the daily for ENSC, and it was in my watch list video the night before, right? This was, I put out a video every night, stocks we're going to watch. So this was on the watch list video. Why did I like it? Because you had a pop here. Oh, hang on a second. I wanted to make sure and get the numbers right. So this little pop back here topped out kind of a 1.5 day pop, right? Topped out at 340. And then I put it on the watch list because I saw it curling up on the daily. And this high was 338. So you can't help but think, okay, this was what it looked like going into Friday. You can't help but think, okay, if we take out this 338, probably going to take out 340. See the volume down here too? Kind of set up for a possible explosion. So love this chart setup. Let's get that out of the way. And this is the opening 5-minute candle on Friday. Topped out at 333 with that 338 looming above and 340 looming above that. We call that stacked catalysts, and it was a really nice setup because for the first 20 minutes, it's in a pretty tight range, right? 333 high, 317 low. Your worst case stop's going to be, down below this 5-minute candle if it breaks. So I called this, actually took a screenshot of this as well. I called it over 333. Here's a screenshot, right? That's what I put in chat. Over 333 with Wednesday's high above, opening range breakout idea. And we had that other catalyst above as well, as I talked about. So anyway, 333, you saw what happened on that little screenshot, right? There's the break of the high of day, 333 or 334 break. And then we break Wednesday's high and check it out. It's off to the races. We actually got the halt here, and then it was really off to the races. Went all the way to 471. That was my favorite trade of the week just because it gave such a narrow range with stat catalysts above on really what was a quiet day. So that was a pretty cool trade. If you have any questions from anything I've said in these videos, you shoot me an email. I'm happy to answer. But in summary, what we do is we try to use intraday charts mixed with daily charts that are recently in play, right? And we look for what we call A+ setups. They could be the whole number inflection points. It could be simple opening range breakout with catalysts above. But everything we look for, even including that pullback play, by the way, in AMC, everything we look for is set up to where the entry should get you green almost right away. And as I said earlier in the video, if you take the trade, it triggers, and it doesn't get green within a minute or two, your thesis was probably wrong. It's probably not going to play out. And that's kind of a warning that, hey, get out. You can always try it again, right? So, again, if you have any questions, shoot me an email. I'm done babbling. We'll see you in the chat room.